Hello and welcome back to Higher Sense with Haz. And today's review is going to be on Outlands by Amouage. So today's review is going to be from the Amouage Essences collection, which is a new collection, and there's 3 fragrances in there. And the one which I'm going to review today is Outlands. The 3 fragrances represent the past, the present, and the future, with Outlands supposedly being the future of Amouage fragrances, or indeed that's what I've read. So let's have a look at the box. So as we can see, there is the slipcase with the relevant information on the back for you there. And then we have the box, which has got Amouage on the front. The Gift of Kings is on the side there, which is Amouage's catchphrase, and Oman, which is where Amouage is based. So let's have a look inside. Here we go. And there should be the fragrance. Very nice presentation by Amouage. I always think Amouage presentation is top notch, and this is no different. Now, apparently, this is the first new bottle design in 15 years from Amouage, and there it is. It's almost like a kind of, well, it is matte, but it's kind of like a matte concrete effect. It's very smooth. Obviously, it's non-transparent. I think it's excellent. There's the cap. There's the bottom with the relevant information, which has got a lot on there with the house, the fragrance name, the milliliters. It's a 100 milliliter bottle. It's a Perfume concentration released in 2024, and I believe that these 3 fragrances are all 30% oil. Before I go on to try the atomizer, I'll just give you a brief description of what Amouage say about this fragrance. And it's important because when I go on to describe it, I'm going off this synopsis. This is what they're trying to tell me the fragrance is about, and I'll tell you if I think not only if it matches that, but if it's any good. So, an olfactory expression of the value of time, crafted through a revolutionary process. Now this I do like. A double infusion with sandalwood chips and artisanal oakwood barrels. And each fragrance is highly concentrated, 30% perfume oils, and has underwent a 6-month aging process. Now that's great. It sounds great. And it was something which I thought, do you think you'll be able to get this in the fragrance? So what they've done, they've got oakwood barrels. They've put the fragrance in there for 6 months. They've also put sandalwood chips in there to infuse into the fragrance. It sounds great. And I'll go on to describe whether I think it's made any difference to the fragrance itself. But that's what they've done. So they've tried a new innovative process here. So, you know, when I'm saying past, present and future, this isn't just a case of here's a fragrance. They've tried something new with this, which I think is innovative, and it's reflective of Amouage as a niche fragrance house. The first new design by Amouage in 15 years, a pinnacle of olfactory artisanship. That's the bottle which I was telling you about, which personally, I think it's gorgeous. I do love matte bottles. It feels nice, it's weighty, it's quality. So this has been created by Cecile Zarokian. Now, I think Cecile Zarokian is top class so far as a perfumer goes. She's made some great fragrances, namely Nishane's Annie. And this is relevant in this, and I will go on to tell you why. But I think she's a great perfumer. And when I saw the notes and I saw she was the perfumer, I thought, I'm definitely going to get a bottle of this. This is the edge of imagination, uncharted mysteries, and a dance with the unknown. I'll put the notes on the screen for you, and I'll run through them. So we have, in the top, cardamom, bergamot, lemon, Sichuan pepper, elemi, and frankincense. Then in the mid, or the heart, there's patchouli, rose, orange blossom, cumin, geranium, davana, saffron, anise, and coriander. So a lot of notes here, which is typical for Amouage. And then in the base, we've got benzoin, labdanum, amber, ambergris, frankincense, opopanax, vanilla, birch, musks, and oud. Wow, there's a lot of notes in here. And to be fair, you're going to need an absolute master perfumer to bring all of these together. So I have been wearing this for a number of days, and I'll give you the full review now. So, without further ado, let's pop this top. The top is magnetic, and it also spins into place, which is excellent. There you go. So there's resistance, and then it flips into place. Fantastic. Now, let's give this atomizer a blast. Couple in the air, 2 on the skin as well. Why not? And as you can probably tell, off the initial blast, yeah, it's strong, and it does get up your nose. So if I sneeze, I do apologise. But yeah, you do. Oh, blabby. Apologies here. Whew. Yeah, right. I'm going to hold that sneeze, but yes. So yeah, 4 sprays of Amouage is more than enough for anybody. So maybe I have overdone that there. But straight away, off the top, you get a lot of the essential notes in here. I get the cardamom and the spicy notes. You get the pepper in there, which is probably what's gone straight up my nose and going to make a sneeze. And interestingly, you've got elemi and you've got frankincense in the top here, which are lovely, warm, ambery types of notes. Normally you find them in the base notes, but in typical Amouage DNA fashion, you're getting these straight off the top, which I think is wonderful. I didn't expect it straight away, even though them notes are listed in the top. I thought they may have came in later, but no. Immediately when you spray this, you just get hit with everything straight away. It's big, it's bold, it's in your face, and certainly if you want a power-packed introduction, then Outlands is the one. So yes, a nice spicy warm opening with a touch of citrus, not too much, but there's definitely a lot of resins and ambers in there, which is a switch up from what I'm used to. But the Amouage DNA is definitely there. So obviously when Cecile has been given her script or her synopsis, so to speak, she's looked at the Amouage DNA, she's put her own twist on it, and I think it comes across great in the opening scent. Now moving through into the mid, which I would say it comes in at maybe around the hour, an hour and a half mark, which I'll go on to explain shortly. You do get a lot of other notes. The orange blossom is apparent, the cumin and the geranium is noticeable, but you also get the saffron, the coriander and the anise, which again are just them kind of warm, spicy notes that complement the notes in the top. And there's also patchouli and rose in there. I don't really get them too much. It comes across as quite bright in the top initially, but then when the resins and the ambers get hold of it, especially with these mid notes, even though there's orange blossom in there, which does add to the sweetness which is in here, the other notes in the mid, the warm, the spicy, and the keep everything grounded. Now, what's very interesting about this fragrance is it's warm and spicy, but it's got some citruses in there. But for me, what comes at the 2.5 hour mark, and it's kind of, it comes from deep within, and it's warm and it radiates throughout this fragrance, and it's the vanilla. Now, if you're a vanilla lover, you're in for an absolute treat. But also, I think you've got to like your fragrances sweet. This is sweet. It's somewhat gourmand. Yes, it's rich and resinous and ambery. But I tell you what, when these base notes come through, you've got your benzoin, you've got your amber, your frankincense, all of the stuff I've mentioned before, warm, ambers and resins, and then you've got the vanilla. Now, when I mentioned earlier that Cecile Zarokian made Nishane's Annie, which I don't have in my collection anymore, the reason why is because that fragrance comes across as vanilla heavy, but it's super sweet. Now, I like gourmands and I like sweet fragrances, but the vanilla in that was just too much for me. It was overpowering, it was too sweet, and it dominated the fragrance. Now, having worn this, I was a bit concerned when I seen the vanilla sneakily hidden at the bottom, especially with Cecile's cheeky smile, I thought, right, let's hope you haven't gone whole Nishane Annie on this. And I was worried. Now, the vanilla is similar to in Nishane's Annie. Now, I like me vanilla to be quite dark and have a bit of bite. Now, I can see why in here she's gone for the much lighter, sweeter, almost frothy vanilla, because there's a lot of other dark, resinous, ambery, spicy notes. So I do agree with the style of the vanilla used in this. Now, thankfully, because of the other dark, warm notes, it does rein in the vanilla. And it is sweet, don't get us wrong. And for me, it's bordering on what I can palate and enjoy. Thankfully, having worn this a number of times, I can say that the vanilla in this is nice and it's complementary. But at times when I catch whiffs of it, I think to myself, oh, blimey, is this vanilla going to take over? But thankfully, it never does. It's there and it's apparent. And if you love sweet vanillas, then you'll absolutely love this. No shadow of a doubt. So if that's your thing, then Outlands is one you need to get your nose on. So that's the notes covered. Now I'll go on to cover the price and the performance, and also Amouage and Cecile's vision for this fragrance. Does it hit the narrative? Let's find out. Amouage Outlands only comes in a 100ml bottle, which I think is an issue, and I'll explain why. It's £355 for 100ml of this, which makes it £3.55 per milliliter. That is niche pricing, and it's fairly pricey. Now, the reason why, and I don't normally say this, I wish they'd done this in 50ml bottles as well, even if it was 200, maybe £225 for 50ml. And the reason why I say that is because this is strong. It performs and it lasts, which is typical for Amouage, and that's why it's one of my favourite niche houses. So I don't think I'd ever get through 100ml of this, unfortunately. So therefore, if there was a 50ml option available, I'd be telling people to get that option, because £355 for 100, I'd rather pay £225 and get 50ml, because it's going to last anyway. So I'd rather save a bit of money and put towards another fragrance. The performance on this, let's start with the projection. It's strong at first, and then after half an hour to an hour, it reins in somewhat, but I would still say the projection on this is a good, I still say it's 2.5 feet. People will smell this. Now, it's thick, it's deep, and it projects well. And the sillage on this is also great. Now, in my opinion, that's the best thing about this. The sillage, the scent bubble. When you're sitting, when you're moving around, you're just absolutely surrounded by this deep, thick, vanillic, gourmand, resinous cloud. And it follows you everywhere you go. You can't get rid of this. So that is a huge positive. So if you're wearing a fragrance to not only enjoy it yourself, but to get noticed, and for other people to enjoy your fragrance, if you're in fairly close proximity with people, then Outlands is spectacular on that front. It's a great performer. The longevity on this, it's second to none. Now, I laugh because at first I thought, right, let's give this a good solid wear, and I put 5 to 6 sprays on, and I nearly choked myself out, like at the start of the video when I put 4 sprays out there. I think I put 6 sprays on, and it absolutely took my breath away. And I thought, right, okay, well, hopefully it'll die down and fade. And I tell you what, with that amount of sprays, it took some time before, I could really go about my business, to be honest. So yeah, 3 or 4 sprays of this is more than enough, especially at 30% perfume concentration. So that's the other thing. You don't really need 100ml of this, because if you're wearing it, 2 to 4 sprays is great. And for me, on 4 sprays, I learnt my lesson the first time, 4 sprays, I was getting solid performance for easily 8 to 10 hours. Now, that for me is great, because usually fragrances, my skin isn't the best performer. It does seem to work with the deeper wintry kind of notes. Summer Freshies is no good, but yeah, honestly, for this 8 to 10 hours solid performance, I dare say 10 hours that this performed. And by performed, I meant from 2 to 3 inches. You could smell it, not an issue. Now, as a skin scent, it'll last until you shower. It's as simple as that. And if you put it on clothing, I remember the next day when I went to do my washing, I could smell this on my clothing quite strong. And you're talking about that was 18, 20 hours later. So yeah, if you're wanting something that's going to perform and get you noticed, then Outlands is definitely well up there. Now we've had a look at performance and we've seen that this is an absolute beast of a performer. Let's go on to discuss Amouage's vision for this. Now, to me, the fragrance comes across, yeah, it's got a lot of notes in there. It's blended great. It's a superb all-round package of a fragrance. And the thing is, it's not going to offend anybody. Now, it's relatively safe. There's no one note that overpowers it. It's not divisive. And for me, the Essences collection, the past, the present, and the future. Now, if this is the future of Amouage, this tells me that the Amouage DNA, yes, it's there, but Amouage may be moving towards the mainstream. Now, there's other things which I've seen and heard with Amouage which would lend to this kind of vision and this kind of narrative. Now, I'll go on and show you another fragrance by Amouage, which when I sprayed this on, instantly reminded me of that fragrance, which is a good thing because it's one of my favourite from the line. And I'll go on to tell you how this fits in with Amouage's vision of the future. So here we have Overture by Amouage, which was released some time ago. And unfortunately, I can't remember the name of the perfumer, but here is the fragrance. Here, one of my favourites, and it's similar in note profile. They do share a lot of notes, albeit there's a lot of notes in both of them, but this is your deep, rich, resinous fragrance. Fantastic for the winter, and I absolutely love this fragrance. Now, when I first smelled Outlands, I got the DNA from Amouage Overture, which is great. Now, what I do know is the perfumer who made Overture, that was his last fragrance for Amouage. I believe they had a difference of opinion for where they wanted to go with, you know, the future of Amouage's fragrances. The perfumer who made Overture wanted to do his own thing. Amouage kind of had a bit of a discussion and said, well, this is our narrative in the future. And I don't think he was happy with that. He wanted to do his own thing and he didn't want to be led and influenced by Amouage. That's what I've read. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But the reason why I say that is I think that Overture is very individual. It can be challenging, but it's unique and it's bold, and it's what I loved about Amouage. Now, this fragrance seems to have taken Overture's DNA and made it a bit more mainstream, a bit more palatable. It's not divisive. It's very vanillic. It's clean. It's pleasing. Yes, it's got deep resins in there, and, you know, performance-wise, it's fantastic. But I think they've took Overture and they're moving it towards the mainstream, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, because Amouage can easily stick to their main lines, which are expensive. And if they want to put kind of a more budget line or a more kind of designer price line, that's not a problem. But as you'll see from the Essences collection, this isn't priced mainstream. It's $3.55 for 100 mils. It's pretty much typical Amouage pricing. Now, if the future of Amouage is going to be more mainstream fragrances, then I think they have to pull them down to more mainstream pricing so that it's more accessible for people. So far as the narrative goes, you know, as kind of a visionary future and trying the sandalwood chips in the oakwood barrel kind of fermenting process or maturation for 6 months, that's all well and good. And what I will say is that, and I may not have mentioned this before because I got carried away with the resins and the vanilla, but the woods in here are apparent. And that's why I've held on till now to discuss these. Yes, there's wood in there and it runs throughout the vein of the fragrance. Yes, it's in the base mainly, but for me, you do get the soft, creamy sandalwood which comes through with the vanilla. I would say it comes through after a couple of hours. Now, when the vanilla comes through, it's very sweet. It's a playful, light, bright, creamy vanilla. And the sandalwood does complement that. I think it enhances it, to be perfectly honest. Now, that's a good thing. Now, the oak wood barrels, which the perfume has been matured in for 6 months, can I get the oak wood? To a degree, I can. There's definitely a number of woods in here. The sandalwood is creamy, but the other woods, I think there's also birchwood in here, and that it gives it a gritty, slightly dark undertone, which with the resins and the ambers are very complementary. So, albeit I can't say whether the sandalwood chips and the oak wood barrels have complemented this fragrance, I can certainly smell them notes in here. So whatever they've done, I don't think it's detracted from the fragrance. And if anything, it's probably enhanced it. So, you know, the new vision and process that Amouage have done with this, I'm sure it's probably cost a lot more money and took a lot more time to get these fragrances done and to get them out. But, you know, I think it's time, money and effort well spent. And I think that process has certainly complemented the fragrance. I would say so anyway. So the vision for these fragrances and for Amouage's future is still a bit unclear for me. It'll be interesting to see where they go with the fragrances and the perfumers and the pricing. Now, obviously, they've got new bottles. They've got a new twist on the Amouage DNA. The pricing's the same, however, but they're coming out with new styles, new ways to make the fragrances, which is all great. So I'd be interested to see Amouage's future. So the vision that they've portrayed here, it's an interesting vision. Does it hit it with this fragrance? I would say that it does. The note profile, the performance, the pricing, and the total package that you get here. I think that the vision that they're describing, they've hit the narrative well. And I'd be interested to see the future of Amouage fragrances, and I'm certainly on board with it. The seasons to wear this, it has to be autumn and winter. Now, this come out in 2024. Unfortunately, I didn't have it over the winter, but I managed to get a good deal on this as we're coming into the spring and summery months, which is, you know, it's a good way to do things. If you want to save a couple of quid here and there, don't buy a new release. Wait until it's out of season, get some discount codes, and normally you can get a good deal, which I did on this. And I look forward to wearing this in the colder, cooler months. But yes, autumn and winter, I don't think you can wear this in spring and summer. Although I have tested it for the reviews, you know, I think unless it's going to be on evening socials at minimal sprays, then autumn and winter for this fragrance. Where to wear this fragrance? Well, I think you can wear it in a wide range of situations. Could you wear it at work? You can do, although it's heavy, so I wouldn't wear it in confined spaces. And if I did, it would be at minimal sprays. I think that business meetings, business socials, evening socials to a degree, but also gigs, events, dressed up, date nights, you could also wear this. I think this would be good for date nights. I think, you know, an intelligent, you know, well-presented, interesting lady would find this a good fragrance. You know, somebody with a bit of taste, someone with a bit of class, and, you know, someone with a bit of a outgoing and confident personality would enjoy this fragrance. And certainly, you know, I think a woman can wear this. I'd be intrigued to smell this on a woman because I think the note profile, although it does lean masculine, I think a confident businesswoman could wear this, and I certainly think it's something that could be enjoyed by both sexes. So, into the dry down for Amouage Outlands. Now, to me, the name Outlands would indicate kind of places that have yet to be discovered, places that we don't know much about, but is of interest and of intrigue. That's what I get from the name. That's my interpretation of it. And I think that Amouage are moving the goalposts, so to speak, and they are trying new processes. They're using a lot of different perfumers. They're certainly not holding back on the notes, and I think that there's quality notes in here, especially for the price, which I do think is justified. So yes, Amouage's vision for the future looks good, and I'm certainly looking forward to being involved in it. So, Outlands by Amouage. Is it an outlandish fragrance? No, it's not. It's safe, it's mainstream, and I think it'll be loved by everybody. Has Amouage hit the mark with their vision for the future? I think that they have, and it's going to be exciting times for Amouage, and certainly I'd recommend you to get your nose on this fragrance. Try others in the Amouage line. I am an Amouage lover, and I do have quite a few of them, and there'll be reviews in the future for that. But so far as Outlands goes, from the Essences collection of 3, I think it's a hit. I think you should try it, and I think you should buy it. If you've liked this review and you've enjoyed what I've had to say, not only about the scent profile and the fragrance, but also the peripheral vision for Amouage, then drop me a like, put some comments below on what you think about this fragrance, or if what I've said excites you or inspires you to try it or even buy it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We're heading towards the 400 subscriber mark, and by the end of the year, I'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers. So drop a subscribe on there. It's free, it helps me, and it means that I can get more great fragrances like this to you. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.